we're going to be talking about my August TBR. For the month of August, I am going to be participating in a readathon, as well as I wanted to kind of share what my summer TBR looks like at this point and see if we might be able to finish it. Who knows? So I'm filming this at the beginning of August right now, kind of saying, here are the books that I want to read, yada yada yada, here are the books that I want to read for this readathon, and then I'll insert videos as we go through, so you'll see everything at once at the end of August. But as I finish those books, I'll insert them, share my thoughts with you, all of that kind of stuff, and then we'll see where we end at the end of this. So let's first start with my summer TBR. So I will insert a picture here of kind of what it looks like. I started this at the end of May. I was like, I want to plan out the books that I really want to try to get to this summer. And I gave myself a lot of books to give myself a lot of options, but it was 30 books and I tried to keep it just at 30 books. And I was like, this sounds great. I can read 30 books in the summer. That's about 10 books per month, and I have a lot more time. I have not read 10 books per month, and I definitely haven't read 10 books per month that were from this list. But we're working on it. We're doing great. We're doing okay. So I had it broken up into sections. I had a section for series, because I have a lot of series that I'm trying to either catch up on, at least start some series, as well as I'm still trying to get through my reread of Percy Jackson. It will happen before this year is over. I know you've heard me talk about it plenty, but I'm gonna finish it, as well as like catching up on some different series. And then I had Fairy Loot Progress, because that's another one of my goals, is to read all of the Fairy Loot books that I got last year, as well as at least half of the ones that I get this year. Then I have some rereads that I want to accomplish this year, and it turns out that a lot of my rereads are very summer coded anyway. And then I also have some just standalone books that I also want to get out of the way. I like to throw in a lot of standalones when I have a lot of series that I'm working on, simply because sometimes I just want one book that is a complete story and it's one and done and we can move on. Right now it is August 2nd when I'm filming this, and we currently stand at, I've read 9 books from this list. There are 21 unread, 3 of them I read in June, 6 I read in July, and we're 30% of the way done. I am currently reading Teller of Small Fortunes, so hopefully that will be checked off pretty soon and you can see me reviewing that. Finally finished this book. Yeah, I finally finished it. I finished it like really late last night, so I didn't film, so it is the next day after me finishing it. It was so good. It like pretty slow moving, but like still cozy. And then we get to like here and just like so much fun stuff happens, emotional things happen, and I like teared up several times towards the end. There were just so many things happening that were like nice little wrap-ups, and oh my god, this one like big plot point throughout the whole thing got resolved. It was so cute, and oh, it got me. Another found family dynamic, similar to one that I finished earlier. So that's always like very cozy and fulfilling when I read those. But also there was like a possible romance that was starting at the beginning, and then like she felt uncomfortable with how he kept pursuing her. And so she shut it down and was like, you can't do that, because I think you just like the idea of me being pretty and everything. You need to actually like me, and I actually know nothing about you, so how can I have like reciprocated feelings? And that was very interesting and new to see. And then like it actually slowly develops into possibly a relationship. It's like never actually turned into one, but like there's obvious hints that it might be turned into an actual more than friendship towards the end, but it was like a lot more gradual, and I really like that. That's very interesting to me. There's no romance at all for our lead character, which I really liked. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. You still got like that little bit of romance, but it's not a romance-centered book. It's more about family, a little bit of the fantasy world, but it's more about like figuring out who she really is and where she fits in, because 2 lands, there's Shannara and Eshtera, and she is Shin, so she comes from Shannara, and she's living in Eshtera, and she, you know, gets a lot of kind of side glances and everything because she obviously looks Shin, but she's not, but she's in Eshtera, and like things like that. So that was like really interesting how that kind of stayed throughout the whole thing, and it's at the beginning it doesn't seem like it's such a big deal, but then it just keeps coming back and it becomes a bigger and bigger deal. And I really liked that as well. Another thing, I just liked how openly the characters cried several times. I think in a lot of like, especially fantasy books, people don't cry when bad things happen. It's like a single tear. And this was like, they were sobbing. And I'm like, that makes sense, because she like, you know, trauma dumped on her new friends because they were like, what's going on? And she explained everything, and then she was sobbing and they were all like holding her. And I was like, that's so real. You wouldn't just like trauma dump and then be like, so that's me anyway, and look out the window. So I really liked that, and it felt just like very normal to read that. And it wasn't just when they were sad. It was like they would also cry a lot when they were really happy, when really happy things happened. It focuses a lot on friendship and like small adventures. It does have some like magic aspects to it, but I don't think that's like the main thing. She is a fortune teller. She can see the future, so like that's the magical thing. And there's like a magic guild. That's not really the main focus. It's about the relationships between the people, and I really like that. So yeah, this was 5 stars. Crazy. I'm so glad it's done, and I'm so glad I liked it so much, because it's a very cute book, and I like that I can keep it on my shelves because I liked it that much. And then I also want to start Beach Read. I think that's like my next one. It's highlighted in yellow here for like my current reads. I'm not currently reading it, but it's going to be like, I'm going to pick it up very soon. I finished Beach Read. I finished my reread of Beach Read. It was so good. It was so much better than I think the first time I read it, because I was able to actually like sit with it. I listened to it the first time, and I don't think I was really paying attention when I listened to it, only like in and out. But I think actually sitting and reading it, which I think I need to do with all Emily Henry books, is not listen to them and just read them, because I like them better that way. I think it just like, it hit a lot harder. It was so good. It did make me cry. The letters at the end got me. Even though I knew like basically kind of what happens, I didn't remember a lot of what happens. So it bumped it up from, before I had rated it 4.5 stars, and now it's a 5 star. Another reread that I want to get done is Book Lovers. Also have this in a physical version. I want to reread it because that was, I think, the first Emily Henry book that I read. Absolutely loved it. It was my favorite for a long time. I don't quite remember everything from it, and Funny Story has become my new favorite, and I really want to make sure that that has stayed, and Funny Story is my new favorite. So I'm gonna reread Beach Read and Book Lovers, because I just don't remember their stories as well as I do some of the others, because I've read them more recently. And then I'll cover the next reread that I also want to do is House on the Cerulean Sea, hopefully to get that done. Another fairy loot that I want to get done is Gifted and Talented, and I'm pretty sure this will get done because I want to buddy read it with one of my friends, and I want to start that when she gets to the beach, and she's going to the beach this next week, so we're probably going to start that soon. Some other standalones that we have, I also have our August book club pick, which is Come As You Are. It's a nonfiction book about female sexuality. I was able to finish Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, but it also counts for the Shrek Readathon. It counts as the Fiona stamp because it's out of my comfort zone, because it's a nonfiction book. I really liked it. I think it does a really good job of kind of educating me more about just how the female anatomy responds to all these things, and a lot of just reiterating that you are normal. A lot of this is normal because society tells us that it's not, and that we're broken, and that's not true. So I really liked that, kind of like destigmatizing a lot of things around that. And then also just kind of, I think it's really good as a relationship book to have both you and your partner read it, even if it's male-female or female-female. I don't know how much male-male would get out of it, because it is very much female sexuality centered, but maybe, I don't know. And it's really interesting, and I think a lot of the stuff is helpful for even just like conversations with your partner and things like that. So I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It just wasn't quite like, oh, amazing, mind-boggling, changed my entire life, which for like nonfiction books like that are like helpful in that way,
that's what kind of has to give it a 5-star. And I really like her writing, but it was more 4.5 because some of the things I was like, okay. Some of the things I was like, this isn't. And that's another one. Done.
Want to read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. It is on my 25 and 25. I've owned it for a while. I tried to read it, I think last year, by getting the audiobook to at least like jumpstart me. Hated the audiobook narrator, wanted to make sure that I gave this book a chance because one of my friends really likes it. So we're gonna try to just physically read it. We just haven't gotten there yet. I have this put on there. It is a full book. It is Little Mermaid and other Hans Christian Andersen tales, but I want to at least just read the Little Mermaid tales because the rest of the book is like, it's like 300 pages or so. A bit more than what I really want to read right now. I at least want to read the original Little Mermaid tale because that is the musical that we are doing this year, and I want to read the original. See if, again, gives me any research, any vibes, ideas, thoughts. Some other catch up on series, I want to read Vengeance of the Pirate Queen because that is the third, even though it's kind of like a separate-ish story because it's really a duology of Daughter of the Pirate King and then Daughter of the Siren Queen. It's very much a duology because they kind of go hand in hand. And then this third one is part of the same series, but it's focusing on a different character as the main character. So that's interesting. So I wasn't like as, I need to read this right now, but I still do want to read it. I also want to read Somewhere Beyond the Sea. It is the sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea, so I haven't gotten to that because I want to reread the first one. I know I really liked it. I can't remember much of it. I also want to read Prince of Thorns and Nightmares. That is another one in a series, and those are kind of standalones as well because it's a bunch of just like retellings of Disney stories from the prince's perspective, and this one is Sleeping Beauty. I need to get back into the Legend-Born Cycle because my friends are geeking out about it because they've read the third one that came out in March, and I haven't even read the second one, and I need to read the second one. And then the Percy Jackson series, still on the fourth one. And then we have all of Heroes of Olympus, and then we also have Chalice of the Gods and Wrath of the Triple Goddess. I don't think I'll read all 21 in August, but we'll see. Now, for the Shrek Readathon. So this is a Shrek Readathon that is put on by Tori Between the Pages. I'll link her up above and her video talking about it. It is a Patreon readathon that she's doing, so you have to sign up with her Patreon to like fully participate in it. I'm just gonna participate in it myself over here. That's fine. I don't need to be entered in anything or any of that. I just want to do it for fun because I really like Shrek. In this readathon, there are 7 prompts and all of them have to do with different Shrek characters or themes or things like that. For each one that you complete, you get a stamp on your little far, far away passport. So the first one is the Shrek Swamp Stump stamp, and say that 3 times fast. Woo! And that is a comfort read or a comfort author that you have. And for all of these, I've given myself some options, some choices, but I have one that I think I'm definitely gonna read for the prompt. And for this, I could read any of the Percy Jackson books. Rick Riordan is very much a comfort read and comfort author for me. However, another one is Sangu Mandana. I love her books. They are very cozy and very witchy vibes, and I'm currently reading her new one that she came out with, which is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. Currently reading that, so that'll probably get me my swamp stamp. I read the Sangu Mandana book, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. It was so cute. It was so cozy and just like it feels so warm. This is the second book of hers that I've read. I remember what the title is now. It's a Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Also very cute, also very cozy. And this one has very much the same vibes. I just love her writing style and just like how she can create this like very small, cute, magical world. It's very much like a regular world, but there's like people who have magic in it. In this one, I believe that people having magic is not a common thing. It's actually very uncommon, which I thought was interesting. She again has the found family aspect to it. There's so many characters in it, like so many characters, because there's the main girl, Sarah, there's this fox, there's this rooster, there's her great aunt, there's another person who's in love with the Great Aunt. There's a knight, there's the guy she falls for, as well as his sister. And then there's also like another little kid. There's so many characters. And I got lost on them for a little bit, but then I was back. I was able to kind of keep them in line. I really liked that. I loved how it kind of wrapped everything up. There were quite a few subplots in this, like, I don't think even that long of a book. I think it's like 300 something pages. So many subplots, but all of them get resolved, and all of them get resolved like well. Nothing was like rushed. She's very good at the pacing of her stories. I loved the way it kind of ended at the end. It's about magic, but it's also about like the magic in like regular everyday life things, like the magic of family and people who care about you, and isn't that so magical, which I thought was just so cute, and I really liked it. And then we have our Pinocchio stamp, which is a book with a nose on the cover, and this was actually pretty easy to find. Quite a few different books that would fit this, but I narrowed it down to just two that I want to choose between. So that is either for me to read Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn, which is in the Legend War cycle, hopefully either read that one, or I could read Prince of Thorns and Nightmares from the Prince series. I finished Siege and Storm. I know I didn't talk about that in my TBR really, but it does work for one of my Shrek readathons. It works for the Pinocchio stamp. I know I said I was gonna read Bloodmarked or Prince of Thorns and Nightmares because they both had people on it. That just didn't end up happening, but on Siege and Storm's cover, there's like a sea serpent that has a nose. So I get my Pinocchio stamp. I didn't like it as much as the first book. It had some of that second book energy, but I still was like really enjoying it, and I like seeing how Elena is like dealing with her powers and her craving of it and all of that kind of stuff. I think it's really, really cool. I'm excited to finish that series soon. The next one is a Fiona stamp, which is outside of your comfort zone. I don't own a lot of books that are outside of my comfort zone. Fantasy and romance are like very much in my comfort zone. So this could be like a really, really thick book or something like that. But then we had our book club pick, which is a nonfiction, and that is very much out of my comfort zone. I do not pick up a lot of nonfiction unless my friends specifically are like, let's read this together, or that's the book club pick. It is Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, all about like female sexuality. It's the surprising new science that will transform your sex life. Outside of my comfort zone, probably for a couple different reasons. The next one is the Onion stamp, which is to read a book with multiple POVs, so multiple perspectives, because onions have layers and perspectives give you layers. I had a couple different ones that could work for this. If I got to the Heroes of Olympus series in Percy Jackson, all of the Heroes of Olympus have multiple perspectives, and those could count. I don't know if I'll get to that, but maybe. But then another one is Gifted and Talented, which is the fairy loot book by Olivia Blake that I'm hoping to buddy read with one of my friends this month. And then another one is the Shrek stamp. In her Patreon chat, they use a bot to create a prompt, so everybody kind of gets a different one. I didn't do that because I'm not in the chat. So instead I went with something that's very Shrek coded, which is the villain isn't who you expect in the book, because Shrek isn't a villain that you kind of expect. So for this one, I'm going to be doing my reread of House in the Cerulean Sea, because it's about all of these kids on this island who seem crazy, and like one is literally the Antichrist, but they're not what they seem. They're not villainous in the way that like you might think they are. The next one is a Farquaad stamp, which is a short book. It has to be 300 pages or less. I realize I don't own a lot of books that are 300 pages or less that are not classics. So I could read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I could read Peter Pan. I could also read Much Ado About Mean Girls. And I think I might read that one because it's pretty short and sweet to get through. And then the last stamp is the Gingerbread Man stamp. It has to have 2 M's in the title for the Muffin Man. And I went through so many of my books, and there are literally only 3 on my TBR, like owned TBR, that fit this prompt of having 2 M's, which is interesting. I could read a fairy loot book that is This Monster of Mine. That's 2 M's. I could read another fairy loot book that is Immortal by Sue Lin Tan, but I don't really have any interest in reading either of those. But another one that's not on my summer TBR at all, completely out of left field, is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is the second in a series, Emily Wilde series. I read the first one and I really liked it, and the second one has just been collecting dust. And you know what? I do want to catch up on series this year, so even though it's not on my summer TBR, I really want to read it anyway. So that's probably what I'm gonna read for that prompt. You'll find out if I don't and if I read something else. I'm going to try to read all of those books for the Shrek Readathon. I'll try to read as many as I can for my summer TBR to finish that off, and you will see how it all shakes out. And you've been seeing how most of it shakes out. It is September 1st, which means the summer TBR is done. As you could probably tell from most of the video, there weren't a lot of interruptions, meaning not a lot of the books got read. So we're gonna do just a little wrap up here. Here is what it looks like, the spreadsheet looks like at the end of summer. So I read 3 more books from this list in August. That was it. I did read like 5 or 6 books in August. It just not as many of them were from this list as I would have wanted. That leaves us with 12 books that I read throughout the summer that came from this list, not just in the summer overall. 18 of them are still left unread. However, 2 are in the currently reading phase. It's Gifted and Talented, which that one's a pretty chunky book, and I'm taking my time with it because I'm buddy reading and we usually go pretty slow because I'm a slow reader. And then Battle of the Labyrinth. I am reading that currently. Not as many as I would have liked. We ended up with 40% completed, but that's okay. The Shrek Readathon, I also did not get all of the stamps for it. I did get 3 stamps though. I got the Swamp stamp, which is comfort read or comfort author, as you saw, so that was the Sangu Mandana book. I got the Pinocchio stamp, which is a nose on the cover. That was Siege and Storm, because I wanted to continue that series, and I should have put that more on here than like jump in between a bunch of different series, but you live, you learn. And then I also got the Fiona stamp, which is Out of Your Comfort Zone, which was our book club book pick. Always hard to say that. So I got 3 stamps. I didn't get the Onion, Shrek stamp, Farquaad stamp, or Gingerbread stamp. I doubted I was gonna get the Gingerbread or Farquaad one, simply because for the Farquaad one, I don't really have a lot of books that are less than 300 pages. And then the Gingerbread one had to have 2 M's, and the only one that really worked that I wanted to read was the Emily Wilde book, and I also just want to read that more in the fall anyway, so that wasn't gonna happen. We did our best, we tried. Let me know if you like videos like this where I kind of give you my TBR and I update you as I go throughout the month, or if you would rather see the TBR beforehand and then a video of me going through all of the ones that I've read. I think that's what I'm gonna try for the fall one. So you'll see a fall TBR video coming out very soon. But for now, that's all for the summer TBR. I hope you enjoyed some of my thoughts about the different books and the hopefulness of August 1st Libby, because wow, did she have high hopes. And with that, I will see you guys next time for the fall TBR.